Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Girl Dad. I'm Abigail Frechette,
And I'm Peter Frechette.
and we've got quite a chock full episode, I think, or at least our segments are full. We'll see how Dad's main topic outline here goes.
Well, I think this is just going to be basically me taking a walk down memory lane, but sorry,
Yeah,
you sucked that up.
love that, love that. But let's start with it's time for sports
Time
time.
for sports time.
I'm gonna go first with one of mine because it's
Okay.
kind of over now, but I did want to talk about it because it did happen and I think it's an interesting conversation. So for those of you who missed our World Cup coverage, this is really for you. Because I know it's been so long. But basically last week, this happened literally after we recorded and was done before the episode went out, I'm pretty sure. So we're talking about it this week. But everybody's new favorite president, Gianno Infantino, he tried to sell the World Cup basically to private investors. And in a really great move, UEFA, which is the European conglomerate, was like, if you do that, we're not participating in any FIFA events anymore,
Good for them.
which is like a huge deal because they're planning a 64 team World Cup. And can you imagine a 64 team World Cup with no European clubs or teams in it? That would be like really lame.
And
Like,
I don't even know if, I mean, it's supposed to be in Europe. And
well, part of it, yeah, it's in a bunch of different it's in like three different continents. Like I mean, we'll talk about that when that happens, if we're still recording a
yeah,
podcast then. But yeah, it was just like a really, like people are already really frustrated with a lot of the things that changed during this World Cup. I think it was fun, but it was like a lot of the stuff that's like FIFA controlled things. People were like, we hate this. Why are you doing this? It felt like everything Infantino was doing was just like incorrect on so many levels, like all the stuff with Trump, all the stuff like just kind of like centering himself in weird ways. And so I think like this is just maybe the nail in the coffin was him trying to do this. We'll see what happens, but I do think it's likely that he doesn't get reelected. Because again, like we talked about before, like he was presented as this kind of alternative to what Sepp Blatter was, who was that guy who was really corrupt. But like he's just corrupt in a worse way almost. Like at least Sepp Blatter's corruption was just about like stealing money from things. And like, yeah, that's awful. But this guy's corruption is actually unfortunately like affecting the game itself, and like
right.
that might be worse. They're both
When is,
bad, but yeah.
when is there an election?
That's a good question. I can double check, but I did want to point out also, I think it was interesting. A lot of coverage I was watching of this, was people kind of talking about how unfortunately, like if this did happen, UEFA would have probably not been participating in the Women's World Cup because FIFA is not just for the men's, it's like the whole thing. Um,
Which is a much more immediate situation.
right. So qualifications for that, because the next World Cup, the women's one, is next year. So qualifications for that start like in the fall, I believe, or just very soon. So if like this had been a continuing issue, but I thought it was kind of cool that people were like pissed off that like because it seems like there's a lot of excitement about the Women's World Cup as well, and it was nice that people were paying attention to that and pissed off that this would affect that. The next FIFA presidential election is scheduled for March 17th, 2027.
Oh,
Um, so he plans to run again, but it's likely that he will
It's,
not
now,
get.
is that just like the organizing committees for the various
Yeah, so
UEFA and
basically,
stuff who vote for that?
yeah. It's the same group that votes on like where the next World Cup will be, basically.
So
So
it's a corrupt group in it of itself.
yeah, it's always been, but
Yeah,
I do think the fact that but those are the same people from UEFA that said we don't want this.
right. They can
So
find another corrupt guy to do it.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so but it's also so UEFA was obviously the first, but there was talks about the African uh conglomerate as well gonna step down. So it does seem like there's enough. And I think if you put those two together, you have enough votes that like it doesn't matter what anyone else does. I'm pretty sure that's was the numbers I was
Yeah.
seeing. So if that's the case, it's kind of a precursor for what that election will likely look like.
Interesting.
But
Thank
yeah,
you
so
for
that's
bringing that back.
my first one. Now, do you want to do some Red Sox stuff? Some fun
Sure. I mean,
stuff.
we've been talking about how the Red Sox have turned things around so much, and
Yeah.
if you looked at 6 weeks ago, um, you would have expected the Red Sox to be taking some of their better players who are not necessarily under contract for the next couple of years and trading them to contenders. But now the Red Sox are contenders, and suddenly they're making trades. And um, I, there's been a lot of criticism of Craig Breslow, the general manager,
Yeah.
because he does not seem to connect with the players and he's not trying to make the team better per se. It's more
He's
about the
kind of like a
minor leagues.
company man a little bit.
Yeah, and what he did at this trading deadline, which was on Monday, was kind of crazy. He
Yeah.
took basically their three best, or three of their top five prospects and traded them for a slightly injured but all-star level catcher,
Yeah.
and to try to boost the lineup, make the lineup better, and to try to win this year. And I give him all the credit in the world for making a run at it. And you know, you can't just keep hoarding prospects and saying, "Oh, we've got all these guys in the
Eventually
pipeline."
will be good. Yeah.
And they never, I think the perfect example of it is another trade that he made, which was Marcelo Meyer. He traded to San Francisco for a hard throwing, wild left handed relief pitcher. And Marcelo Meyer was, 3 years ago, the top or the number two prospect in the Red Sox organization. He's come up. He's been hurt all the time. And when he hasn't been hurt, he hasn't been great. And that's what happens with prospects. You never know. And so, yeah, go get an all-star catcher who may hit you some home runs. He's a switch hitter, but can play every day. Supposedly is very good with the pitchers. And like a good leader, Adley Rushfield. It'll be very exciting, I think, if his wrist injury is not serious and he's actually able to play, which is
Yeah.
kind of the big question mark is whether or not he can actually they're hoping that he will be back like the second week of August, which would be next week. So if that's the case, great. Let's
Yeah.
go for it. Let's have him for the last 6 or 7 weeks of the season. And hopefully, it looks like now the way they're going after they swept the Dodgers, it looks like they are likely going to make the playoffs, which is
I
insane.
know it's crazy to think about like where we started this season. I mean, even where we were like weeks ago,
I mean,
it's insane.
there was talk that this was the worst Red
Yeah,
Sox team of
of all
not
time.
only your lifetime, but my
Yeah.
lifetime.
Which is, I mean, your lifetime is a little more of an implication there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, you've
Yeah,
lived the charm life of the a Boston sports fan. I have not.
I
So
know.
uh,
Well, you got it at the end.
I did eventually got there. So anyway,
Um,
and more on my childhood Red Sox experience in
yes,
a
I'm
few
sure we'll get
minutes.
into that. So my last one for sports time is, are you aware of what the Commonwealth Games are?
I know I've heard of it, and I'm sure when you remind me, I will remember.
Okay, cool, because I don't really know what it is, but my reporting has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
So the Commonwealth Games seem to be like some form of an international, like not the Olympics, but an international competition sporting event. Um, and they're happening in Glasgow right now.
Is
All I
it
know
track
is,
and field?
well, there's boxing involved, so I'm gonna assume, and like based on the locations, it does seem like kind of a more track and field related
Yeah,
kind of
that would have
competition.
been
Like there's
my
not
impression.
teams involved and stuff.
Okay.
Um, but anyways, Scotland, so it's happening in Glasgow. It just ended in Glasgow, but the Scotland police have received reports that various athletes from different nations are unaccounted for.
Oh no.
And this is not uncommon with the Commonwealth Games as in Australia in 2014, which, sorry, the last one was in Australia, and then the one in 2014, which was also in Glasgow. Like a dozen athletes were also missing afterwards, and it's believed that these athletes are seeking asylum in those locations. Because we have, I mean, the athletes currently missing are four members of the Ugandan boxing team and then a boxer from Pakistan. So I have a feeling that that's again what's kind of happening here.
Of
Um,
course, that's not what went into my mind, after having the Scottish team here for
oh,
the World Cup. I thought they were all just hammered
they're
somewhere
just
and hadn't
partying with
woken
the
up yet.
Scots. No, it does seem like this is something that is maybe a regular occurrence, which is interesting also, I think, because the Commonwealth Games are like from what I'm reading, they are like a big thing, but they're obviously not covered the way like the Olympics are, and I doubt they have kind of certain like not like safety measures, but just like guarding measures of athletes that like the Olympics would have. So it makes sense that or the World Cup, so it makes sense that this is a time when these people would maybe be able to seek asylum. But yeah, so I read that on the BBC this morning and I thought it was interesting because it was not something I don't think I would have heard of otherwise.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it reminded me when you talk about the Commonwealth Games, it reminded me of something that actually happened in the last 2 weeks in London. The A guy by the name of Josh Kerr set a new world record in the mile,
Yes.
3 minutes and a little under 43 seconds, which um, is very fast. And because Roger Bannister, I'm not sure it was in my lifetime, but he was the first man to, I think it was in the 50s, broke the 4 minute mile. And so you can just see the evolution of athletes going faster and faster and faster. And I don't know what the limit is to how fast someone could actually run a mile. But yes, Josh Kerr, 3 minutes and 42 seconds. I'm looking at this because I was reminded of it. In this note, it says Kenyan runner Faith Kipyegon holds the women's world record at 4 minutes and 7 seconds. So let's keep an eye on how soon a woman breaks that four.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. All
believe it's
right.
going to happen in the next 3 or 4 years. It'll be very
Very cool.
exciting.
Very cool. Well,
So
I
anyway, a
think
little
that was a
bonus time for sports time there.
yeah, chock full sports time.
And that actually is a time for sports time.
Nice. Good one. Good one.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. So
Yeah.
moving on to not breaking news. Do you want to start with yours here?
So mine, very quickly, not breaking news. The Spider-Man movie came out and set a record for the opening weekend, and very exciting. I did not see it, but I will at some
Yeah.
point, I'm sure.
It's interesting too because in a time when I would say superhero movies have fallen off a little bit.
Yeah,
Like I don't know, I think like peak 2016 to 2018 was probably when everyone was going to see like every Avengers
yeah.
Marvel related film. I'd say we're not there anymore, but I think Spider-Man is one that universally is everyone's favorite.
Well, also, I think, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say from a plot standpoint, but I kind of feel like Marvel and Spider-Man is like Trump with Iran. Marvel keeps saying this will be the last Spider-Man, we promise.
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying.
And who knows? Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but that's a way to
Yeah.
get people to go, oh, this is the last time I
Yeah.
get to see Spider-Man. Well, the last Spider-Man I saw had three different Spider-Men in it. So
Right. Yeah.
I don't need to do that. The next one could have four. We'll see. And one of them
There
could be
are
animated.
force, but there is an animated. Oh
I
yeah, I
know.
see what
The
you're
fourth
saying.
Spider-Man will be animated. It'll be all come together.
That would be interesting. All right. Well, mine is also film re related. I'm curious if you've heard about this. Do you know about the Odyssey drama?
No, I saw the Odyssey and it was dramatic.
Well, yeah. So this is off-screen
Oh
drama.
no,
So,
no.
Emily Wilson, whose translation is the one that Christopher Nolan used for the movie. So she like retranslated the Odyssey and, she's talked about how she wanted to do it because she wanted to add in kind of like not the like women's perspective, but she thinks that historically, we see this with translations of the Bible and stuff where it's like you add in your own perspective when you translate something. So she wanted to do it from like a 21st century woman's perspective, which I think was interesting. But she at first was really excited about Nolan's film and thought it was going to be great, thought it would introduce a lot more people to the Odyssey. Since seeing the film and reading the script, she has said that she's ashamed to be a part of it. Um, which I think this is interesting. So this has sparked kind of a lot of debates around the film itself and like making classic works into blockbuster films. And we've both seen The Odyssey. I think she can be right and wrong at the same time because obviously, I think, to be honest, she's not understanding what Christopher Nolan's goal was. I mean, I think he wanted to tell this story. I think he did a really good job of telling this story, but he can't tell the whole story. He's going to have to remove some of the elements, some of the like side quests, if you will, that Odysseus goes through because you
You don't
have
have 10 hours.
exactly. And he's not making a mini series. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think if it was a mini series, as many people would watch it, even if it was the same casting, even like it's just this is how you make a blockbuster film from something else. And I do think she argued that he like removed a lot of the themes from the story as well. And I think that's unfair. I think that that's the one thing that I did feel like because I've read not her translation of the Odyssey, but a translation of the Odyssey, and I do feel like I still got the same vibes. The one thing I liked that he added that I didn't get was kind of this like PTSD element that Odysseus seems to go through. And I thought that, like Anne Hathaway did a great job of portraying um whatever his wife's name is. I can't remember now. Um, and like kind of like a strong woman. And that was something I got from the translation I did read. But I think like, I don't know, I think her criticisms are kind of unfair. I think I understand where she's coming from, but I don't think she is understanding where Nolan is coming from, if that makes sense. So I think that's why they're unfair. And it's kind of sparked this larger conversation about these things, which I don't know is really a productive conversation, if I'm being honest, because I think people who liked the film and now are maybe more into like classics and stuff, they can go and read her translation. Both things still exist. You know what I mean? And I think the film serves a different purpose than her translation does, and that's okay,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, but anyways, so that was that. Summer blockbusters we're talking about here though. So,
Which, and it is, I mean, I did hear when I heard about the Spider-Man thing, somebody was like, "Oh, this is the first summer that the people are going back to the movies." And well, I remember Barbie and
I'm sorry, did
Oppenheimer.
we forget about Barbenheimer for a second there?
Yeah, so I don't think
That's just not true.
no, absolutely. When
I
you
would
get
say
Spider-Man,
last year was the exception in that there wasn't a summer blockbuster.
right?
But I think that was the exception,
Yeah,
not
I
this.
agree. I think this is the direction that we tend to go. So
Yeah.
very
All right.
good.
So main topic, summer.
Okay. This was my idea,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about, it's been so hot and it's been summer and we all like summer. And
In summer.
so I just wanted I maybe take a little bit of a walk down memory lane about what summer was like for me and get your thoughts about what your summers were like growing up. And
Mm.
because I think they're very different. Um, and I know how they're different, but I'm wondering if maybe we could figure out why, or if we even want to figure out why. But just for me, and I was thinking, the more I think about it, the more things stand out for me about summer, and the different things that I did. Like I went to Camp Wakanda, which was a day camp down the street. Although I'm not sure I walked, but it was well, it might have been a little bit too far to walk, but it was very close.
It's far
Um,
way down the
but
street.
it was a traditional, what
Yeah.
I would consider to be a traditional day camp. We made, uh,
Did you do archery?
we did archery, we did like arts and crafts where you
Swimming.
made like a Native American belt with
Okay.
beads,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we all had Indian names,
The
and
cultural appropriation was real.
absolutely, that's
Yeah.
what it was,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
So that was one of my summer things that I was remembering today. Another one that, because I started out, I was talking about going to Granite Lake, and that's what I was thinking of. But then I remember we used to caddy all the time at the Keene Country Club,
Hmm.
which was fun and interesting. And I still have stories that I tell about the people that I caddied for, and incidents that happened on the course, which was always fun. But the other thing that we used to do, because the country club, the second hole was in our backyard, basically. And
Right.
mom used to go, and she would go to, actually, it may even have been Dunkin' Donuts, or she would go somewhere and get jugs of coffee and donuts. And we would take a little wagon out by the second green
Oh
and
yeah.
sell coffee and donuts to the players as they came through after the second hole.
Great idea.
That was
Great
fun.
idea.
And
You
something we
kind of
did.
had like a really productive lemonade stand.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, and you know the story about the air horn, right?
Yes.
Um, should I tell?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know why you would
so
tease that story and not tell it.
the third tee, which is also kind of distant from our house, but not very far,
Yeah.
was kind of on a cliff and going down, look down onto the White Brook, off to the side. The tee was going in one direction, but the brook was the other way. And for some reason, gentlemen, seemed to think that that was perhaps a nice place to relieve themselves over the cliff, if you will. And my mother got a little bit tired of seeing that, and
As she would.
as she would, because that was, the kitchen window overlooked the backyard and the second hole and the third tee, and she would just, you know, she just got a little tired of it. We had a deck off the back of the house. And eventually she figured out a solution to this challenge. And so if she saw someone preparing to sort of unzip a little bit, she would go out and grab an air horn and go out on the porch and just blast the air horn. And relatively soon, people stopped relieving
Oh,
themselves off the third tee. So that was one of my summer memories.
that's a great one. That's great.
Also, another summer memory that ties to the Red Sox, and I think we may have talked about this on the podcast before, but my we, my brother Ed and I were assigned players during like 1967,
Oh yeah.
68 when the Red Sox were suddenly got good. And so I remember I was Mike Andrews and my mother was Rico Petrocelli. And we would come down for breakfast and Mom would be prepared to tell us how our players had done the night before
Yeah,
because we had gone to bed, which was great.
obviously.
So that was fun. And then, and then there was the lake, and we went to the lake, and I mean, we went and stayed at the lake for the summer, and um, water skiing, swimming, um, different things like that. Another camp experience I had was Village 72 in Nelson, which was next to Granite Lake, and
Oh,
Village 72 was it was a bunch of kids at somebody's house. This was a very
yeah,
small,
it's a different vibe.
yeah, this was kind of a hippie vibe.
Yeah,
And so we went to these people's houses and this people's house, and our group of kids gathered together and created a village. That was the point, that we were going to make a town, and we
yeah,
dug stuff up. And I just remember digging on this people's property and coming up with shards of pottery. It was like, whoa, this is like, I feel like an
yeah,
archaeologist.
yeah.
But it was very fun.
Yeah.
So we did that for 1 year. And then baseball, Pee Wee League, Little League, Babe Ruth. I mean, every year we played something. So,
But
um,
that would that be more in the spring or was that in the summer too?
Babe Ruth was in the summer.
Oh, okay.
Little League, yeah, would pretty much finish by um, sort of in June at some point. But then we also, for us, if we were in Keene, we'd get on our bikes and drive over to Wheelock Park or
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah,
with our glove and a ball. And as long as you had three guys, you could come up, you had a game that you could play.
yeah.
Or I spent
So,
hours in the driveway throwing a tennis ball against the garage.
so did you guys like move to Granite Lake for the summer or would you just go
No,
inter
we pretty much moved there for the summer.
Okay.
Um, at least, yeah,
Like July, August kind of thing?
yeah. That's from what I can remember. I feel like we were definitely there a lot, but we also, especially with Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth was 13 to 15 years old. You played Babe Ruth. After Little League, you played Babe Ruth, and then they had Legion and Senior Babe Ruth, which was 16 to 18.
Yeah.
And Keene, baseball was big in Keene, and um, the high school coach ran the Legion program, and actually his son, who's a friend of Harry's, still runs I think he runs the minor league team or independent league team, whatever they're called in Keene, which is cool.
Yeah.
Um, but that was what we did, and but it was very independent, and you just kind of made your own fun. And
Yeah.
and I don't know how that compares to your summer. What are your memories
Yeah.
of
I
summer?
mean, so I think certain, well, I'm just gonna start off with getting my little I hate my parents thing out of the way first, where I had to go to camp. I hated going to camp and I didn't understand why I had to go to camp. I still think it was stupid and yeah. Anyways, um
Still got some of those great things that you made right down there in the basement.
I don't care. I hated that. I hated that so much. Anyways, so that's the end of that. Not going to talk about camp anymore, but I think, I guess like the differences of our summer experiences, like I think a lot of the time the differences we're talking about are more generational, but I don't actually know that this one is. Um, Specifically looking at like comparing going to the Cape and stuff, because I think, I mean, I guess like I still had like I played tennis and not baseball, but tennis. We would go to the beach instead of a lake, but I think it was still like this sense of, you know, kind of you're not you're just like participating in the world. It wasn't, we didn't watch a lot of movies. We didn't use a lot of like technology during the summer. Like I think it was just, I had summer reading, which love that. I ended up having a job at the Cape when I turned like 15, 16 kind of thing. So like I think there's parts of it that are similar. I think more of the differences actually lie in not having people my age to hang out with necessarily because I think I look at like our summer Cape. Obviously, mom, like that's mom's family. Um, but it's beyond mom's family, like the people we hang out with. But I look at those people kind of the way it would be like cousins or aunts and uncles or like other grandparents. Like their mom's extended family that's not related to us, I guess is the best way to put it. And most of my generation is younger than me, which is like the opposite of what your family is, where most of my generation is older than me. And like the only exceptions were just like either not around doing other stuff because they played sports or like I think that was kind of the thing. So like I didn't really have friends, I guess, in the summer and like Phoebe's so much younger, especially like growing up, like that was a different thing. But I think like had I had more people around, our experiences may have been more similar. I think the part that especially like the part on the Cape, I think that's much more of like small town vibes, like people know each other. It's a little more like you can leave the door unlocked and walk to the beach and you can, I don't know, you can like wander a little bit more and it's not quite as like I would go to the tennis court up by where we were by myself and just go be there by myself and that wasn't like a scary thing to do, I guess. Um I think the thing that is more of a generational thing, though, is I guess I don't quite know the right way to put this, and I don't think it's totally like not something people were doing when you were a kid. I think it's just more people doing it now, is kids not having a summer as much because you have to get a job or you have to do things to put on your future college resume.
Mm,
I think that kind of has become a thing that happens younger, if that makes sense. Like maybe when you were like 17 or 18, that would have been a thing you saw people start to do. But I feel like younger that's happening now, where it's like, and even in college, it's like you don't get summer in college, you got to get an internship. Like you, so the people aren't around the same way, right? In these communities you go to for the summer or these, that kind of thing, I guess. So like, I think that's more, and I was thinking about like the group we have that goes to the Cape and how I don't go to the Cape anymore. And I think even if I lived in Boston, I wouldn't be able to like go to the Cape every weekend just because it's like, well, I have friends in Boston and I have like a social life here. And like, but I think it's also has to do with like monetarily it's not really realistic for people to be able to have more than one home, to take the time off in the summer that maybe like your generation as you got older was like able to take. And like looking kind of at like we're starting to get to the point where some of the older people in my generation like are having kids and they're not going to the
Mm,
Cape as much as we did when we were kids. You know what I mean? Like we were able to just like move there for the summer and that was fine because you could work from home and mom could do like take the time off kind of thing. So, I think that's something that maybe also is different is just our, I guess, like, is the next generation going to be able to experience those things with their kids the way that we did when we were kids? I don't know.
mhm. Yeah,
Um, but yeah,
interesting.
I don't know if you have any, because obviously you experienced my childhood as well. I
No,
don't
but
know if
it's,
you
I
have
mean,
any like
the
other,
way you know, we all know how good my memory is, but the more you talk about it, the more I'm remembering of stuff that you did at the Cape and Camp Pink Feather and I know with your jobs,
yeah.
every time we drive by those little shanties, I remember the job that you did where you
Oh
had
my
to
God.
sit in
That
there
was
for a while.
hysterical. Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
Not,
I don't know.
I
It's
guess
just,
not that different. And
yeah.
I was thinking as we're talking about it, I'm thinking, what did I do for a job? And because I was thinking, well, did I just caddy? I feel like I was younger when I caddied. And then I remembered that after the summer after my junior year, I worked at IGA as a bagger.
Yeah.
And then the summer after my senior year, I worked at Kingsbury's, washing light bulbs and painting machines and then I went to college.
Yeah.
And then I worked at a camp the first year after college. And so yeah, we always had jobs too. I know I worked um, construction and we always found things to do. But then
Yeah.
then you drive to the lake and go for a swim or wash yourself off in the lake, which we're not allowed to
Right.
do anymore, and probably just as well. Um,
Um,
so
but yeah,
anyway,
I think it's,
so that's summer.
yeah. I think for me though, like summer now, it's interesting. I was literally just talking about this with my therapist. I hate summer now. And I think it's the only time where I don't like living in New York
Yeah.
because it is just I have like opposite seasonal depression where the winters aren't nearly as bad as they used to be, and the summer is so disgusting that you don't want to go outside. Like, I fully understand why the city empties out and anyone with like money isn't here because why would you want to be here?
Mm.
And this year has been significantly worse than years past. I feel like, usually by this point, I've at least gone to Central Park and like read outside and hung out there, but the air is so goddamn thick
Yeah.
and it's horrible. It's just uncomfortable to be outside. So hopefully it gets a little bit better in August, but yeah, it's interesting. Like I do think of summer more as like something in New England as like even though it's hot there and it's humid there, it's not
Not like
bad
New
like
York.
this. Yeah.
But the other thing about summer that I've noticed as our family has is all over the country now is, for me, my recollection is that summer started when school ended in like the first or second week of June
Yeah.
and ended after Labor Day when school started again. And
Yeah.
now
Oh, it's so
kids are in
different.
school next week,
Yeah.
if not this week. And
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That to me, that's like, you
Well,
know,
I remember when we were growing up, anytime we would start before. Labor Day, you guys were like,
No.
what the heck?
Yeah.
And it
Or
is, it's like you start school the first week of September, like
yeah,
if that.
right.
And yeah, I don't know when that changed. I mean, I guess like
I
college
don't
has
think it
always been
hasn't
different.
changed. I don't think it's changed here. Um,
No, but college has always been different. Like college has always been you start a bit earlier and you end way earlier. But the like elementary through high school starting before Labor Day is crazy to me. Because
and
that's like the last weekend of summer.
right.
That's the watching Cheaper by the Dozen too. They're having the Labor Day things, and it's like everybody's about to start their real lives, quote
Right.
unquote. I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of, yeah, I miss that kind of energy of like having summer as this like fake life a little bit, if that makes sense.
Mm.
But yeah, it's
Well, I'm
interesting.
sorry. Sorry we made you go to camp.
It's okay. I think I've moved past it, but
Have you
yeah,
discussed
that
that with your
sucked.
therapist? And
No, I don't think we've actually ever talked about that. I think I personally just like have blocked it out of my memory and pretend it didn't happen. And like we don't need to work on that. We don't need to
okay.
revisit.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Let's end on a happier note than
Yes,
Cam
absolutely.
with the smile of the week.
Yes.
Um, I don't really have one in particular. Um, but I do just want to say that I'm really enjoying my job.
Oh, good.
Um, and my coworkers are very funny. Like I don't know, I don't have like a particular one with that. I guess one of my coworkers was um laughing because or we were all laughing. So for those of you who don't know, I work at a sock store and
Not Red Sox.
no.
Oh, you might have Red Sox. I don't know.
I don't think we do in stock right now. But at some point we had Minions socks. And she let her boyfriend borrow her Minion socks, and she got really nervous that he was gonna like put a hole in them or something. And so she tried to buy Minion socks again, and we didn't have them anymore. So she almost started crying because she loves her Minion socks so much. And that was just a hysterical moment for me personally. But yeah, we have fun. Feel free to come visit us at Bomba's in the West Village if you feel so inclined.
Nice.
I'm
Very
not
nice.
always there, so I
Check
can't really
first.
give you my schedule.
But
But
but if you'd like it, just send us an email at girldadpcast@gmail.com
yeah, if
and you can
anyone
find out
wants
when
some
Abby's going to be
socks,
working.
yeah.
So
Yours, I'm excited to hear.
my smile of the week, this past weekend, I was graciously invited to play in a member guest golf tournament in New Hampshire, and with a good friend and his family invited us to stay at their house. And mom is very good friends with the mom, and Phoebe's very good friends with, well, we're all very good friends with
I was
the
gonna say,
kid.
we're just really
We're
good
just
friends. You don't
two
need to
two very
specify
close
every
families.
relationship.
So, the golf tournament was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Saturday night, we had dinner um, at the house, just the two families. And um, at some point, I guess we were cleaning up maybe. And I wasn't. I was still sitting at the table.
Oh,
And,
shocking.
um,
What a man.
and, and the mom and one of the daughters were in the kitchen, which we were all basically in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and the music's
Open
playing,
concept.
and um, one of the daughters just started singing and dancing, and all of a sudden the mom was right with her and they were in step, and it was, right in front of the sink and got it all going on. And it was hysterical, and it
Oh my
kept
God.
going and going. And so that was my smile of the week. The whole thing was a big smile, but that was
Yeah.
That was the Beamer, I guess you would say.
That's gorgeous. I
Yeah,
love that.
that was
That's so
fun.
fun.
Very fun.
Very nice. That reminds me of another summer memory. Do you remember when I think it was after we had one of our like bingo nights or one of I don't know, we had a bunch of people over and people were starting to leave, but like the music was still on. And that was the summer that like Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People was like the song of the summer. And all of a sudden, and like, so yeah, it had to have been bingo because there wasn't a lot of room because all the tables were like set up and stuff. And all of a sudden I looked over and Greenie and Alice are like dancing in front of the doorway to Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People. And it was just like, for those of you who don't know, Greenie was my grandmother. And like I had never really seen her do anything like that before. She's like a very kind of well put together lady. And it was she's
Yeah,
just doing a little boogie. And it
that's
was
an excellent analogy.
cute. But yeah, I love moments like that where you're like, wait a second, what is
Yeah,
going
that's
on?
great.
That's very cute. I love that. That's awesome. Well, shout out to them. Bummed I couldn't be there to have fun with all of you, but someone's gotta pay my bills. Unfortunately, that someone is me.
Excellent.
Again, if anyone would like to take on the responsibility, please send us an email at girldadpcast@gmail.com.
Excellent. Or subscribe to Abby's Substack at.
Oh, Friday Baby on Substack. Yeah, you can give me money technically there.
That's right.
You don't have to, no pressure. You still get the same access to all my stuff, but if you want to help a girl out so she can go to New England for the summer.
Not
Avoid
to
the heat.
camp, though.
Not to camp. All right. Well, this has been very fun. Thank you guys for joining us. I think we've plugged the email address enough. But if you guys do have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe. If you're listening on a podcast app, do whatever positive things you can do there. You can like leave us a review, I think. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what would be fun? If you're listening right now, leave us like a funny story as a review. Like just give us 5 stars and then just tell us a funny story that has nothing to do with our podcast and maybe we'll like read them out and
Yeah, that'd be
we'll
great.
do it anonymously if you want though.
Yeah, of course.
Um but yeah, anyways, no one's gonna do that, whatever.
No.
But anyways, this has been a fun episode and we will talk to you guys next week. Bye, Dad.
Bye, girl. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed the episode, follow us on your favorite podcast platforms, rate us, and leave a review.